Hello. It's so good to see you. Hi, I'm Lori Wilhite. I happen to be married to Judd, and I am so excited to be joining you here. We want to say a special welcome to all of our locations, including those of you who are joining us with our partnership with God Behind Bars. Welcome. We're so glad you're here with us this weekend. A few months ago, I was speaking at a conference. And anytime I'm speaking at a conference, I spend quite a bit of time trying to pick out just the right outfit. And so I had my friends come over and raid my closet to make sure I looked really good at my conference. And I had picked out these really cute embroidered jeans that were like destructive. They had rips and they had holes in the knees and they were so cute. And I made them tell me, my friends, that I was so cute. And I was feeling really good about myself, and I went to my conference. I spoke, I did the whole conference, and at the end of the day, I had a gal walk up to me, and she said, "I love you today more than I have ever loved you before." And I was like, that is awesome. But before I could pat myself on the back because I had said something really inspiring or I had hosted a great conference, she said, "It's your knees." And I thought, okay, that's weird, but I was like, you're right, my jeans are so cute and they have these cute holes. And she goes, yeah, and your knees are so fat, just like mine. And I don't know what the appropriate response in that moment is. I think I laughed and gave her a hug and took a picture with her, and then was super excited to find everybody I could tell my fat knees story to. And I would tell them, and I loved to see the look of horror on their face that somebody dared to go there with me, right? And I thought it was hilarious. So for over the next couple of weeks, I made a lot of jokes about my fat knees. I talked about how I needed to create some kind of knee workout routine to somehow just target this fat right around your knees. I don't know if that's even possible, but I was gonna do that. And I told everybody that I had a new name. My name is Fat Knees. And I joked and I joked and I joked about it for a while. And then I realized that behind the laughter and the joking, it had gotten to me a little bit. I was a little tender about my fat knees. In fact, those cute jeans that I was so proud of were hanging in my closet and collecting dust because I was not about to put them back on. And that started to weigh me down. Last week, we started a new series here at Central based on my new book called My Name is Victorious. And it's a look at some of the old names that we have allowed to haunt us and hold us back, and really an effort to find strength and freedom and joy in who God made us to be. And you'll find my book's out in the lobby. 100% of the proceeds go back to the ministry. But it's really just a look at how can we claim the victory in our lives. Because the truth is, I have been haunted by a lot worse names than fat knees. Probably the name that has haunted me the most in my adult life is not enough. Not feeling like I was enough. I have this incredible husband, so gifted, such an incredible man of faith. He loves God. He loves people. He's so talented. And I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that God had called him into ministry. God had called him to serve him. I just wasn't sure about me. I just wasn't sure I was enough, that I was a good enough wife, that I could be enough of an encouragement, enough of a cheerleader, enough of a helpmate to be enough of a wife. I have these two amazing children, awesome kids, Emma and Ethan. They're crazy great teenagers, but they're kids, and they have struggles sometimes. They struggle with school, or drama with friends, or insecurities, and I wonder sometimes, am I enough of a mom? Can I be enough of who they need me to be? Can I challenge them enough? Can I grow them enough? Can I shape them enough? Or really, am I just going to mess them up and someday have to pay for their counseling? I don't know. I have this crazy, awesome church family. I'm so blessed to get to be the senior pastor's wife here at Central. I love it. I love you guys. But I would be lying to you if I didn't have days where I sat in my house and thought, I don't know if I'm enough. Do I know enough? Can I be enough? Can I be present enough? Can I pray enough? Can I counsel enough? Can I be enough of the pastor's wife our church family needs? I don't know. Not enough has haunted me and has weighed so heavily on me for years and has robbed me of the name victorious. I was in Temecula, California this summer. We were driving around and we came across this field and it had these longhorn cattle in it. Now, I am from Texas. I have seen a lot of cows, but I'd never seen anything like these. They had these huge horns. And when they walked with their heads low and to the side like this, and they would drag their horns on the ground. And I thought something was wrong with them. I asked the local guy that we were with, I said, are those longhorns sick? What is wrong with them? And he said, no, their horns are so heavy that they have gotten to where they cannot lift their heads and they are forced to walk with their heads down. And eventually they will be so heavy that they won't be able to lift their heads or walk at all. And as soon as he said it, I thought, that has been me. That is the posture that I have walked with for years, walking with my head down. Weighted down by the old names that I've carried along. And that is why I love this beautiful verse in Leviticus. It's in chapter 26, verse 13. And when we get to the red words, read them with me. But it says, I am the Lord your God. I broke the yoke of slavery around your neck so you can walk with your heads held high. Jesus broke the yoke of slavery around our necks so that we can walk with our heads held high. He broke the chains of our past. He broke the slavery to our mistakes so that we could walk with our heads held high. But why is it then that so often we still walk with our heads low? That's why it says in Galatians 5:1, it says, it is for what? For freedom that Christ has set us free. It's for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by the yoke of slavery. Jesus did not come and live a perfect life and die a sacrificial death and get nails pierced his hands and a sword piercing his side and thorns piercing his brow, 3 days dead, raised back to life so that we could continue to live in the burden of slavery. It says for freedom we've been set free. It's for freedom that we've been set free. So it's time for us to learn to walk with our heads held high. So the question is, how do we do that? Well, here's the first thing. If we want to learn to walk with our heads held high, the first thing we've got to do is stop comparing. We've got to stop comparing. How many of you love games? You love to play games? I like to play games too. Judd hates games. He's not into them. But I like to play games mostly because I like to win games, right? Nobody plays games to lose. I enjoy winning. I'm a little competitive, not so competitive that I'm like a mean loser, but I like to win. And so this Thursday night, I was with one of the Central Women's groups as they were kicking off My Name is Victorious, and they were playing a little comparing game. They were comparing who has been given the worst gift ever. And as soon as they said it, I thought, winner, winner, right here. I'm gonna be the winner of this game. And so I sat and I listened, and one girl, bless her heart, her grandmother had given her socks and rocks. That is a terrible gift. That's no good. Another woman had been given a used kitchen appliance for her wedding gift. Terrible gift, terrible gift. But none of those were as terrible as mine. And so I told them 3 days before Judd and I got married, my whole family got us together. My grandmother had sent me a wedding gift. And we got all together in my family room, Judd and I on the couch. My parents and my brother were there. My dad had the video camera out and he was recording. And I thought, this must be an amazing gift. My family is like giddy with excitement for me to open this gift. So I ripped that beautiful shiny ribbon. I tore the paper. I opened the box to find that my grandmother had sent me a seafoam green, see-through negligee that she wore on her wedding night. Worst gift ever. And my family breaks out in laughter, and I start bawling because that is disgusting. And nobody wants to think about their grandma as a Victoria's Secret model. It is gross. Worst gift ever. So in that comparison game, winner, winner, chicken dinner, everybody, right? But most of the time when we play the comparison game in our lives, there are no winners. You just think of a normal day in your life. Maybe you get up in the morning and you're trying to find something for your children to wear when you're surrounded by piles of laundry and like Kool-Aid stained shirts, right? You go to clean up all the millions of toys in your family room, and you pick up all the little superhero action figures, knowing full well that in 5 minutes, they're going to mess it all up again. And you go to cook dinner, and you open up the cabinets, and you realize you have not been grocery shopping in like 2 weeks. And so it's like PB&J again, right? And then you sit down on the couch, and you pop open your Instagram or your Facebook, and what do you see? You see your friend with her super adorable kids and their very clean and freshly pressed clothes, and they look so cute. Or you see your coworker with her house that looks like it's out of the pages of a magazine and there's never been dirt in it before. Or you see pictures of your neighbor who is sitting down for a meal that she has home cooked, 3 courses with all of her children who are happily eating their vegetables, right? And the comparison game starts to set in. And there are no winners when it comes to comparison, because if we aren't careful, we let comparison, which is this like internal measuring tape that we keep in our back pocket, and we use it to measure our deficiencies against the highlight reels of everybody else's lives. And we pull it out to measure our successes against the weaknesses of somebody else, and then maybe we'll fly high. But neither of those things is the way God wants us to live. Because instead of looking at everything that God has made each of us to be, we get laser focused on the achievements and the talents of somebody else. And we start to hate ourselves and feel like we're lacking and feel like we aren't enough. Galatians 6:4-5 says this. It says, make a careful exploration of who you are and the work you have been given, and then sink yourself into that. Don't be impressed with yourself, and don't what? Compare yourself with others. Don't compare yourself with others. Each of you must take responsibility for doing the creative best you can with your own life. Our responsibility isn't to measure up to all of the people around us. It isn't to have immaculate clothing all the time. It isn't to have a perfect house, clean and pristine all the time. It isn't to have the perfect meals to get on every Facebook page. Our responsibility is to do the creative best with our own lives. Do you like to sing? No, you may not be Beyonce. But don't let that not enough stop you from doing the creative best with your own life. Maybe you can lead worship in one of our kids' environments. Maybe you like to take pictures, but you are no Ansel Adams. Do not let the not enough stop you from using that gift and that passion God has given you. Maybe you can be on the photography team at your campus or your location. Or maybe you know your way around your kitchen, but you are no Rachel Ray. That's okay. Use the gifts God's given you to bless somebody and make them dinner if they've been in the hospital. Because we're not responsible to be Beyonce or Ansel Adams or Rachel Ray. We're responsible to do our creative best with our own lives. That's it. The creative best with our own lives. And if we can do that and we can stop the comparison game, then we can walk with our heads held high. All right, the second thing that can help us walk with our heads held high is to see yourself how God sees you. To see yourself how God sees you. The last time I went to the eye doctor, she told me that within the year, I was gonna have to get reading glasses. And I thought, no, lady, no. I have not worn glasses in 30 years. I am not about to start wearing them now. I will let my sight slowly disintegrate, and 10 years from now, I will buy reading glasses. That's when I'll do it. I did not admit that I needed them when I started having to hold things really far and squint to see them. I did not admit that I needed them when I had to take my phone and put it on the biggest font available to see my text messages. I did not think she was right, even when I had to take my Kindle and put it on such a large text font that only one sentence per page is allowed to fit on there. But last week, I finally had to admit defeat when I was trying to cook something for dinner, and I could not read the instructions. And I had to get my 14-year-old son to come read to me. And he goes, "What is wrong with you?" I said, I think it's time. I think I'm gonna have to get reading glasses. I don't wanna get reading glasses. I feel like that makes me old. I don't wanna do it. And he goes, "I think you're gonna have to, or I can't follow you around all the time." I said, okay. So I hopped on Amazon, typed in reading glasses. There are about 1 million different kinds of reading glasses. So I looked through a few and then thought, okay, if I am going to buy reading glasses, I need to see a picture of someone wearing these reading glasses to know what I'm gonna look like. I need to know what I'm gonna look like. So I started clicking through the pictures, and then Amazon gave me this photo. Let me just tell you, when you are feeling every minute of your 40-something years, this is not the photo you want to see. This is a photo of reality. I don't want to see reality. I don't want to see that. I want to see a 20-year-old model in reading glasses and think that that's the way I'm gonna look. Or even to be like age appropriate, like give me Cindy Crawford in reading glasses so that I can pretend that that is what I'm going to look like. And so often, we see ourselves through the lenses of other people. We see ourselves through the lenses of other people. It might be the bullies on the schoolyard. It might be some dysfunctional family members, a grumpy boss, or the ever-present, always negative inner critic that we have in ourselves. And we let that define who we are, but maybe it's time for a new pair of glasses. Maybe it's time that we put something on, not that I'll be able to see you, but we put something on and we get God's vision of who we are. We can see ourselves the way God sees us. And He has littered the pages of the Bible telling us what He thinks of us. So here's just a very few. But God says that you are chosen in Ephesians 1, 4, and 5. He says that you are qualified. He says that you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. God has equipped you and gifted you and purposed you for great things. The Bible says you are accepted. God is preparing within you what He has prepared for you to do. You are forgiven. You are an overcomer. You are saved by His mercy. And it goes on and on and on. That is how we need to start seeing ourselves. We need to put on the lenses of faith so that we can see ourselves the way God sees us. Because if we can do that, if we can get a new focus, then we can start to walk with our heads held high. The third thing that we need to do is trust that God is enough. Even when we don't feel like we're enough, we've got to trust that God is enough. Judd and I, when we go out with other couples, maybe to dinner or meeting them for the first time, we have one question that we always love. We always want to hear their how did you meet, how did you marry story. We're always very curious about that. And so Judd has probably told you many, many times over the last 15 years, our how did you meet, how did you marry story, but I'm gonna give you my 50-cent version of how we met and how we married. I was home for Christmas break from college, and I was sitting in church with my parents when this very handsome, very smart pastor got up to speak, and I thought he was so cute. And I remember thinking, I think he's looking at me. And then I thought, that is so obnoxious to think that the pastor's looking at you while he's speaking, but he totally was. And I decided at the end of that service that I would convince my parents that we needed to go out the front door of the church, which was in the opposite direction of our car, so that I could meet Judd. And so we started to walk that way. I got about 5 feet away from him, and then I totally chickened out. Grabbed my parents, we ran out the door, and that was that. 3 months later, I came back to the church, and I had actually gotten hired to be a summer intern. And so a lot of the people around the office were saying my name a lot, and Judd said, I don't even know who that is. And he got out what at the time was a church picture directory. And he looked me up, and he said, that's that girl in the black dress from Christmas. And so he called me at 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning of my spring break. Terrible. Terrible. Do not encourage him, people. And so he called, and then he dropped on me what has to be the greatest pickup line in the history of pickup lines. Lori, I would like to take you out to coffee to encourage you. Single guys in the room. Single guys in the room. It's not smooth, but it totally worked. I don't know if you want to try it. Okay, so I let him take me out to coffee to encourage me. And then we had lunch, and we went to the park, and it was this great date. And at the end of our first date, Judd said, hey, next time you're back in town, why don't you give me a call? Maybe we could hang out. And I was like, well, it's amazing, because I just decided just now I'm coming back next weekend. That's amazing. I'd love to hang out. And so I did. And that was the start of us dating. You fast forward a few months, Judd was coming back to Texas, our home, on an airplane from a mission trip in Russia, and he was with our pastor, his mentor, and he decided, now's the time I'm going to ask, what do you think about me marrying Lori? And he gave his approval, and then he said, you know what, Judd? Your wife will make you or break you in ministry. And so Judd decided to ask me to marry him. I actually brought our engagement picture for you to see. Maybe. There it is. Judd and I decided a few years ago that we were going to age Benjamin Button style and age backwards. So, because my very handsome husband looks younger than he did 21 years ago. I don't know how that's even possible. But so we got married, and it was awesome. And that is the story that we have told over and over and over and over and over again. How did we meet? How do we get married? And I love our story. I love the story of us. But there is one part of it that has absolutely haunted me. It haunted me for years. Your wife will make you or break you in ministry. I was 21 years old. I didn't know what I was doing. And the thought that I might break him and his ministry terrified me. It terrified me. So I started writing down this list of all my weaknesses, all my failures, all my shortcomings, because I felt if I was clear on what those were, then maybe, just maybe, I wouldn't break his ministry. So I carried those things around in a backpack, weighed a lot, full of insecurity, full of fear, full of not enough. And I know I am not the only person that has carried around a backpack like that. People who have felt like we're not enough. That's why I'm so glad that God has told us the stories in the Bible that he has, because in Exodus 3, he shows us a leader that's just like me. He comes to Moses and he tells Moses in just a few verses, hey, Moses, you're going to lead my people out of slavery. You're going to give them the promised land. You are going to free my people. And Moses doesn't say, all right, God, I'm totally in. I'm down with it. Yes. He says, who am I? How can I lead? They won't believe me. I'm not a good speaker. Send somebody else. I'm not good enough. I'm not equipped. I'm not qualified. I'm not gifted. There are so many others better than me. And I get that. Don't you feel like that sometimes? But then God says, I am who I am. Say this to the people of Israel. I am has sent me to you. Here's Moses. He's so afraid to take even a single step because he feels like he's not enough. Dr. King has this amazing quote. It's one of my very, very favorites, and he says, faith is taking the first step even when you don't see the whole staircase. And sometimes it's so hard to take the first step when you feel like you can't and you're not enough because you don't see where you're going. But when we can trust the God who built the staircase, even though we don't see it, that's when we can make a huge difference. And God says, I am has sent you. I am the one who is sovereign. I'm the one who's all-knowing. I'm the one who is all-powerful. I'm the one who is so much bigger than any teeny tiny little box you could put me in. You tell them, I am chose you. I am called you. I am sent you. I need those words sometimes. 10 years after we got married, I was standing in an airport in Miami with a friend of mine, and I was having like a Moses moment. Who am I? I'm not good enough. There's so many people who are better than me. I'm not sure if I can do this. And this sweet friend literally dropped her suitcases, grabbed me by the shoulders, and said, Lori, do you not believe God is sovereign? Do you think he doesn't know what he's doing? And I thought, this is the easiest church answer ever. Yeah, yes, I believe God knows what he's doing. And she said, then do you not think that he knew who Judd needed to be as his wife? Do you not think he knew who Emma and Ethan needed as their mom? Do you not think he knew who Central needed as their pastor's wife? Do you not think that he knew your weaknesses, your failures, your shortcomings, and he chose you anyway? And I had to stop for a moment, because that's not an easy answer. Do I really believe that? Do I really believe that I'm chosen, I'm qualified, that I'm enough? And I stood for a minute, and I took a deep breath, and I said, yeah, I do. I do believe God is sovereign. So today I want to put my hands on your shoulders, and I want to ask you the same question. Do you believe God is sovereign? Do you believe God knows what he's doing? Even though you feel like you're not equipped and you're not qualified and you're not gifted enough, do you believe that God chose you? Even though you worry that you might mess this whole parenting thing up or this whole family thing up, do you not think that God knew who your children needed as their parent or who your family needed in their lives? And even though you may struggle with the feeling like that you're just simply not enough, do you trust that God is sovereign? Do you believe that the great I am is more than enough, even when we feel like we can't be? Because God is more than enough. It is for freedom that we've been set free. If we want to learn to walk with our heads held high, we just got to stop comparing ourselves to other people. We've got to stop that. We've got to start to see ourselves the way God sees us. And we just got to trust that God is enough, even though we feel like we may not be. That way we can declare, my name is victorious. Let me pray for you. Jesus, I'm so thankful to you, God. I'm so thankful, Lord, for who you are. I'm so thankful that despite all of our weaknesses, God, our shortcomings, the many failures that we can see in ourselves, God, I'm so thankful that you chose us anyway. God, we trust that you know what you're doing. We trust that you're sovereign in our lives, and we commit to taking a step of faith even when we can't see the whole staircase in front of us, God. Lord, just help us to stop comparing ourselves to everyone around us and just take the responsibility for doing the creative best with the lives that you've given us, Lord. And help us to start to see in a new way. Help us to see ourselves the way you see us, God. Help us to see ourselves that way. Just bring us a new focus. Help us learn to walk with our heads held high. It's in your son's name. Amen.